introduction about Srirangam sir. Sri Matthew Srirangam sir currently serving as academic officer, quality assurance in Andhra Pradesh State Council for Higher Education, and he worked as senior faculty in zoology, head department of food technology, head department of paramedical, head department of renewable energy management, nodal officer BO, programs UGC sponsored, nodal officer for community college UGC sponsored, Andhra Loyola College Autonomous Vijayawada. Sri Matthew Srirangam sir has completed his graduation from Andhra Christian College, Guntur. He has completed his post-graduation and Master of Philosophy from the Department of Zoology, Visakhapatnam. Sri Matthew Srirangam sir has joined Andhra Loyola College and served the college in various capacities like academic secretary for 13 years, dean administration for 6 years, IPSC coordinator from 2004 to 15 and Naac coordinator for 3 cycles of accreditation. Sri Matthew Srirangam sir has conducted several workshops on faculty professional development, college autonomy, CBE, CBCS, Naac assessment and accreditation. And also he is the resource person for the Commissionerate of Collegiate Education, Government of Andhra Pradesh. As an organizing secretary, he has conducted 11 national conferences. He is an expertise in curriculum design and development, skill development programs, instrumental in getting more than 15 crores of UGC fund to Andhra Loyola College. He is also actively involved in Lions Club international activities, presently engaged in the AP State Council for Higher Education for designing and developing the choice-based credit system to be adopted in the state of Andhra Pradesh. He has published 11 research papers in national and international journals and 23 most popular articles on his credit. Now I welcome Sri Matthew Srirangam sir onto the dais to deliver his lecture. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm happy to be here on this day with K.B.N College and share some of my experiences with reference to these innovations and best practices in higher education. Now there is a tagline there because tagline is one of the things that are there in trending now. For every movie, the title follows with a tagline. So I just wanted to have a tagline for this topic, that is innovations and best practices in higher education. Can colleges really change? Can the colleges or higher education institutions really change? Now before I go into the innovations and best practices in higher education, first let us define what is innovation. See, this term innovation deals with, it is having greater emphasis with reference to advertisement or maybe in speeches of different resource persons on different areas. They speak about this term innovation. But what exactly is innovation? See, actual innovation takes place only when there is some type of newness, when there is something new and something where you are experimenting with. Now, even when organizations are not necessarily doing anything groundbreaking, even if an organization is not doing anything groundbreaking or not doing anything new, still they can say that we are innovating. Why they are innovating? Because they have not changed. That is the innovation. They have not changed. So even that becomes what is called as innovation. But when we talk about innovation, innovation means changing the DNA of the higher education from inside out. Now, if there are any students of biology, they will be knowing what is the importance of DNA. Whatever the physical features, whatever the characters we have, it's all because of the DNA that is there in the cells, that is coming as a hereditary thing. So when once if you need to have an innovation, you need to change completely. If you need to change your physical features, if you need to change your characters, automatically you need to change your DNA. So even in case of higher educational institutions, if you talk about innovation, if you want to have a change, now it should be inside out. Completely there should be a change. Completely the DNA of the institutions should change. Will you please click that blue link? Okay. Okay. So anyway, when we talk about innovation, there are two different varieties of innovation. One is said to be sustaining innovation. Sustaining innovation means changing the existing system. Changing the existing system or modifying the existing system is called as sustaining innovation. The second type of innovation is disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation means the change doesn't exist. The change doesn't exist. You are bringing totally a new change. You are trying to bring a disruptive change or a sudden change. So, for example, you have different models of your mobile phones. Samsung is there, Oppo is there. Now, Oppo comes out with new models. Samsung comes out with new models. That is what we call as sustaining innovation. Already the system is there. Already there is a product. But over and above that particular product, you are adding new features. You are adding new features. So the system gets changed. The product gets changed. That is what we mean by sustaining innovation. Whereas disruptive innovation. See, one of the examples what I could cite for disruptive innovation is like your desktops, computers. So previously we used to have what is called as machines which are used only for calculation. More than that, the machines do not do anything more. Or that led to another change which is called as mainframe computers. I don't know, how many of these young ones know the size of the computer when it was first invented. The size of the computer is almost all. If you have one single computer, it will occupy at least 1/4 of this particular hall. Then there is a disruptive innovation of having this particular percentage modern computers. Now the modern computer has come to the palm size. We have palm-held computers also. So it is a disruptive change, a sudden change, a new product. So likewise, even when we talk about the innovation in higher education, we have these two different types of innovations. One is said to be the sustaining innovation and second is said to be the disruptive innovation. Then coming to best practices. What do you mean by best practice? Best practice is not again a new thing. It's not a new thing. Best practice is a particular practice which had faced the testing waters, testing times. It has been tested. Supposing, say, if at all if K.B.N. college has one of the best practice, it means that K.B.N. college experimented with that particular practice and then innovated that particular practice and established certain standards. But once that particular best practice is standardized, then it is not only for what is called as K.B.N. college, but Loyola college could adopt that particular best practice. That's what we call as benchmarking. When we talk about this particular benchmarking, what is good and how is that good? What is the percentage of goodness? How is that particular good? Based on that particular thing, you have a benchmark. Supposing, say, if I say this is one of the best practice of X college. Now, if it has a good practice, how good is that particular best practice becomes a benchmark. So when we talk about these particular innovations and best practices, maybe we need to have an understanding of these two terms. Then why we need to innovate? Why we need to benchmark certain best practices? The reason is the changing climate of higher education. What is inevitable means change is said to be inevitable. You cannot stop change. You cannot keep yourself static without any change. Similarly, higher education ecosystem also keeps on changing. It keeps on changing. And as you have seen, the type of change that has crept in the last 6 months in the higher education sector. Entire world, the education system got disrupted because of the pandemic COVID-19. This may be bringing about certain innovations, certain best practices that will be practiced maybe for the years to come, even after the pandemic of COVID. I'll come to that particular thing later. Most of the students here, they might have experienced what is called as online teaching. Most of the faculty members would have tried with online teaching. Now that is, best practices will be established. Best practices will be established. How to keep the students engaged. How to make the presence of that particular teacher felt by the students who are sitting at their home. So a type of best practice could be evolved from that particular change. And similarly, in the higher education system, all of you might be knowing about the National Education Policy 2020, which has been rolled out by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. What was there previously? There is almost all a dramatic change. There is a dramatic change in the entire higher education system. When changes in higher education ecosystem are taking place, automatically we need to innovate new things. We need to innovate new things either as a disruptive innovation or it could be a sustaining innovation. But you cannot simply stand there without any change. So there is a lot of change that is taking place in the higher education system. As I have just quoted only 2 examples. One is the COVID pandemic and second is said to be the national education policy. Then the changing the traditions, traditional student. Student means coming to college, sitting in the classroom for 6 hours or 7 hours in a day, maybe for 36 hours in a week. Then after some time goes and writes the examination. And after 3 years of study, they'll get their degree. This is the traditional setup of the student life. But now the student is exposed to varieties of information. The student needs to adapt to the changing environment and be ready for the world of work. If you simply get a BA, BSc or BCom degree, that doesn't suffice. That doesn't suffice. Maybe when I have done my BA, BSc, maybe way back in 1988, I have completed my degree. Immediately I went for post-graduation. But now that is not the situation. That's not the situation. Even after your degree, you are going to have placements. And students are not interested in doing their higher studies. They are interested more in getting an employment. And even MNCs, multinational companies, are trying to recruit students from degree colleges. Even be it your IT companies. Previously, maybe 5 years back, 6 years back, or maybe in the past decade, these IT companies started recruiting only the engineering graduates. But now, if you compare the statistics, 60% of the workforce at the entry level are from degree colleges, not from the professional engineering colleges. I'm not saying that professional engineering graduates are not being recruited. They are being recruited, but at the same time, these undergraduate non-conventional programs, the students completing those particular programs are also being recruited in large numbers. So even there is a change in the traditional student itself. Student is exposed to the entire world. If you have your smartphone with, your mobile connection, maybe your internet, mobile internet. Now the world is there in your hand. The world is there in your hand. Even students become much more clever. I don't know about the students sitting here, but supposing if I start teaching about a particular topic, they start googling the same topic. They do that. They do that, and then get the information before what the speaker speaks or the lecturer delivers the lecture. and starts questioning the lecturer. So lecturers are being changed because of the change in the traditional mindset of the students. Then the business of higher education. Many may not like when I say higher education is a business. Many may not like that if I say higher education is also a business. But still, I stick on to my words. Business or education, higher education is also a business. I'm not talking only about the profit-making business. See, in a business, maybe if there are some commerce graduates here, or Nagaraj is here, and he'll be talking about business more. What is business? Business means not only making profit. You have a customer. You have a customer. You need to deliver or satisfy the needs of the customer. So, higher education also is a business where I have a lot of customers. Who are my customers? My students are my customers. My students are my customers. So, I need to cater to the diverse needs of the student. And second thing is, you need to have an infrastructure. If you are doing a business, you need to have some infrastructure. Whether it is a marketing business or service-oriented business or services or maybe products, manufacturing, whatever it might be, but still every business needs an infrastructure. Similarly, here also we have the infrastructure in terms of your college, classrooms, or your laboratories, your computers, your other labs, etc., etc., etc. Then third is the financial aspect. The financial aspect, where costs are involved, where costs are. So, when I say that higher education is a business, I mean all these things. You need to cater to the diverse needs of the students or the stakeholders. You need to have a better and best infrastructure that is possible, and you need to bear up that particular cost. Hence, higher education is a business. Now, when you need to be a successful businessman, if you are a successful businesswoman, so what does it mean? When do you be called a successful businessman? Only when you are having the best product given to the customers. When I have the best education system and deliver this particular education system to the stakeholders or to the main stakeholders, that is the students or my customers, then only I will be a successful businessman. When you are talking about delivering what is called as the best possible product, again comes your sustaining innovation or your disruptive innovation. I cannot simply have a product which is 10 years old. I cannot have a curriculum that is 10 years old. Or I cannot have a teaching methodology which is 20 years old or 30 years old. I cannot have an infrastructure that is there 2 decades back. There should be some innovation. There should be some type of experimentation. There should be some type of innovation or change in the existing system, or even change or bringing about a new system altogether. 5 years back, maybe in 2015, the AP State Council of Higher Education had rolled out its choice-based grading system. 5 years back, nobody had any idea of what the choice-based grading system, what are grades, and there is no semester system either. So, when 5 years back, the choice-based grading system had come into place. And now, there is a redesigning of the existing choice-based curriculum after 5 years. That is in 2020. For the batch of students who are going to be admitted in 2020-21, they are going to have a different type of what is called as curriculum, what you might not have studied. Maybe you had the foundation courses, but now the present entry-level batch, they don't have foundation courses. They have life skill courses. You have not studied about skill development courses. They are going to study skill development courses. They are going to have 2 months of community development program. They are going to have one full semester of internship or on-the-job training, whatever you call. And for you, the degree is 3 years. But for the batch of students who are going to be admitted in 2021, they will be admitted for 4-year program. And they can have an exit after 3 years. So, lot of change is coming into picture. Lot of change is coming into picture. So, when once I say a business model, now I need to change the product. I need to change the curriculum. I need to change the product. I need to change the curriculum. I need to introduce new courses of study. I need to introduce new programs of study. Catering the redesigned skill framework for the students. If I simply teach what what I taught maybe 25 years back for a zoology student becomes obsolete now. I need to change the product and then be a successful business. Next please. You can do it. Now there is a small video, maybe for 2-3 minutes I'll play that video. It gives the definition of innovation.
If you're wishing now, I hear this all the time, especially from CFOs. It makes me laugh every time. CFO, what's your priority? Efficiency and innovation. Good luck with that. Innovation is not efficient. Innovation is trial and error. Innovation is experimentation.
Yes,
innovation is testing. Innovation is doing something that fails.
No, just start it again. That's more important.
Because we see the light of it. I hear this all the time, especially from CFOs. It makes me laugh every time. CFO, what's your priority? Efficiency and innovation. Good luck with that. Innovation is not efficient. Innovation is trial and error. Innovation is experimentation. Innovation is testing. Innovation is doing something that fails, and sticking with it. Because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're not just going to walk away from this, even though it failed the first 2 or 3 times. You know, Seinfeld was a disaster with terribly low ratings when it first came out, and thank goodness they weren't making the decisions based on the numbers, they were making the decisions based on what they felt was good television. And when we believe in something desperately, the worst that we could do is cut people off who have intense passion for something. If somebody has unbelievable passion for something that they want, that they think can help the firm or change the industry, change the profession, why would we stand in their way? Why would we say, I want you to do this? Then they're going to go into what we're going to do like this. With Malay, when they have passion for something and they fall, they'll fix it because they have passion for it. Never ever restrain someone with passion. And just accept the fact that innovation, if you want to be, and by the way, you don't have to be innovative. There's nothing wrong with not being innovative.
So the starting statement of that particular CEO says this. If you ask, what are your priorities for any CEOs, any company's chief executive officer, they say efficiency and innovation. But efficiency is not innovation, that's what he says. Efficiency is not innovation. Being efficient is not innovation. Innovation means experimentation. You need to go on experimenting with the product, with the system. And what is much more required and what he stresses more is that that particular change, what you are trying to do, should be done with a passion. Should be done with a passion. So unless you have a passion for change, you cannot innovate. If you don't have a passion, it's not like, it doesn't lead to what is called as innovation. But innovation doesn't mean efficiency. You might be an efficient person, but if you don't innovate, you will become obsolete. You become obsolete. So that is the importance of this particular innovation. Now, I just browse about 4 different areas. I have selected 4 different areas where you could innovate. One is curriculum. Second is study with the teaching learning process or the pedagogy. Third is study with assessment, and fourth is community teaching. Next please. Next. Now, what is this particular curriculum? How do you innovate the curriculum? My learned colleagues will say that, see, I'm an affiliated college. I'm in an affiliated college. Now, in an affiliated college, the curriculum is designed by the university and we simply follow the curriculum. Now, how do we innovate in the curriculum? That's the main question. Second thing is, maybe like K.B.N. college, autonomous college, which designs and devises its own programs of study. It will develop its own syllabus, its own curriculum will be designed. But even in an individual department level, you can go for change of that particular curriculum. Go one better than prescribed curriculum. Curriculum may say that these are the number of courses. Can we offer a little more number of courses than that is prescribed by the curriculum? Go beyond the curriculum. Innovate with the curriculum. If you have, say, 6 papers, which we call as courses, why don't you have the 7th paper or 7th course, which could be a self-paced course, or it could be even a self-learning course, where a student can learn on herself or himself. Need not be taught. Everything need not be taught in between the 4 walls of the classroom. You can devise your own syllabus. You can design your own course, which goes beyond the curriculum, so that the students will be at what is called as at a higher level. If I devise a course, maybe in case of, say, in what is called as BBA program, in a BBA program or in BCom, usually you have the accountancy papers in BCom, and then you will have some marketing papers, etc., etc. Or maybe in BBA program you will have business administration papers. But all sectors of business administration, all sectors of management and commerce cannot be included in the 6 papers. Now, what is right now important? There is another area called service marketing. Now, give that particular course syllabus in such a way that the student gets a chance to learn by himself or herself about service marketing and acquires a new, what is called as a new certification. There are umpteen number of courses. Which are available online. Thanks to COVID again. Not only the students, even faculty members, most of us, we are not aware of the different type of online courses freely available. You can sit here in Vijayawada and then do a course offered by Stanford University, or maybe MIT, or maybe any other university that is located maybe elsewhere across the globe. So, I mean to say that the curriculum should not be a closed jacket. It should not be a closed thing. The curriculum, whatever we are doing, should be innovated in such a way that the curriculum becomes open. It's not that I need to teach only 6 papers. I need to teach only 4 courses. No. You can open it up to the entire world and give a chance to the student to learn on herself or maybe on himself. Okay, so there comes this, how different you are from others. Now, what is the difference between studying in K.B.N. college or maybe studying in some other college here? Maybe nearby you have Sarada college or you have Loyola college. Now, how different you are from others? How different you are from a passed out graduate of Loyola college? So the students need to question themselves, how different I am from others. Even maybe the college may be offering a particular curriculum, but go beyond the curriculum. Open yourself and do what are called as the massive open online courses, MOOCs. For that, you need not have what is called as the permission of the college. You can do on your own, but most of the students, they enjoy themselves. They try to use their free time, maybe going through the different type of WhatsApp groups, messages, YouTube, all these things. Instead of that, if you are able to do an online course, you are gaining knowledge. Maybe you may not get a certificate, because there are certain online courses where you need to pay if you want to get a certificate. But there are several, there is no limit. Umpteen number of online courses are available, only the sky is the limit for you. So why not we try that way? Why not we try and open up our curriculum and then be innovative and acquire new knowledge, enter into new domains, acquire new knowledge and acquire new skills. That's how you will be different from others. When you go to an interview, everybody comes with an undergraduate degree, maybe BA, BSc, BCom or MA, MSc, MCom. So when all the students, candidates entering an interview have the same qualification, how different you are from others? Why you need to be selected? Why you need to be selected? So this is one of the things which is necessary not only for the faculty members to open up the curriculum, as well as it is equally important for the students as well. Then comes a different type of curriculum or the entire what is called as structure, educational structure, which is called as competency-based education. Next slide. See, your competency-based education is nothing new. Maybe the term may sound new to us, but it is something like your OBE, outcome-based education. Again, 2 years back onwards, there is a lot of discussion going on in academic circles about this outcome-based education. Learning outcomes. And how these learning outcomes are to be measured. Now, everybody, whenever, even in an autonomous college, if you are going for Naac, assessment and accreditation, again you are asked, what are your learning outcomes? What are your course outcomes? What are your program outcomes? What are your program educational outcomes? So, different type of outcomes are there. Now, how these particular outcomes are being measured? That's outcome-based education, and the competency-based education is also somewhat similar to that of outcome-based education. After doing BSc Botany, after doing your BA History, what is that you have learned? What is the outcome? Is to be measured, So unless and until the course outcomes are given by studying this particular paper, maybe in zoology, since I belong to zoology, I quote more examples from zoology. After studying a course in aquaculture, the outcome, I am writing the outcome now itself, before designing the course itself, before finalizing the syllabus itself, I am writing the outcome. After studying this particular course in aquaculture, maybe the student should be able to get a job in aquaculture industry. Maybe in prawn farming, maybe in fish farming, maybe in a hatchery, maybe in a feed processing, or maybe in a processing industry. Something like that. I keep the outcome, write the outcomes, and then try to achieve those particular outcomes by the end of the course. Similarly, here also the same thing. You need to identify the competencies. Next slide, please. You need to identify the competencies and look into whether that particular competency has been achieved or not, whether the competence has been achieved or not. So, it's a personalized learning approach. What happens? A student joins in a particular program, BA 3 years. Then after 3 years, he or she will get the degree and then walk up. This is not competency-based learning. By studying this particular 3 years of BA, what is that particular competence you have developed? What are the skill sets that you have acquired? Not all students acquire the same skill set. Not all students will have the same competencies. So, it is, you are being tested for the competency, and after the first semester is over, automatically you will be transferred for the second semester. Automatically, if you get 40%, you will be promoted for the second year or to the third semester. Automatically, you are being passed from one semester to the other semester by just getting a pass mark. Who is bothered about the competency of the student? Whether the student had got that particular competency or not, whether that particular skill set has been driven into the what is called as the mind of the student. Nobody bothers. As a controller or as a deputy controller of examinations of Loyola College, I am bothered only about conducting the examination and giving out the result. And at the end of the day, the principal is bothered about what is the pass percentage. Whether it is 80% or 85% or 90%. Pass percentage. Though you get 80% or you get 40%, you are said to be passed. You have passed that particular group. So we are looking only at pass percentages rather than what is the percentage of competencies been acquired by that particular student. So we need to innovate in this particular manner. Maybe the entire educational system should turn around this competency-based education. When once it is practiced, when once you acquire these competencies, you will be a competent person for the type of work that you are going to take. You will be said to be competent to do a particular job. If you are doing your BSc Computer Science, if you are coming out as a programmer, almost there will be a lack of students. Lack means not LACK, 1 lakh of students, or 10 million students coming out of with computer science degrees. Now, how many of these 10 million students will have the competency to write a program? Whether the educational system or the examination system is trying to find out whether that particular competency is given to the student or not. Student is not being assessed for the competency, for the skill. Student is being assessed, maybe if I have a DBMS paper, if I get 35 or 40% in that particular paper, 40 marks, I am said to be passing that particular paper or course. That's all. But whether the required skill did I get? Am I competent to do that? No. So maybe we need to think about this particular what is called as competency-based education. Then coming to the pedagogy. See, 90% of classes are doing the traditional, time-tested, very good type of methodology that's called as chalk and talk method. I'm not saying that chalk and talk method is not proper or it has lost its charm. No, I am not saying that. At least 60% of the syllabus has to be taught only through chalk and talk method. I need to use a blackboard and then I need to write on the blackboard, start explaining the different concepts. But there is what is called as supplementary to that particular chalk and talk method. You need to have a different type of methodology being crept into the entire education system. The pedagogical innovations are said to be the main pillars of what is called as the higher education ecosystem. If the ecosystem has to be a perfect ecosystem, there should be some pillars. And the main pillars for sustainable higher education ecosystem is pedagogy. And there is what is called as going beyond this particular chalk and talk method. There will be different types of methodologies like what we have experienced during this particular COVID pandemic. Your online teaching methodology, online pedagogy, e-learning, e-classrooms. There are several words which describe that particular process. So that itself is a pedagogical innovation. As I said, tomorrow 60 or 70% of the syllabus will be taught while you are at home. While you are at home. That is going to be the new trend. That is going to be the new trend. And there is what is called as the pedagogy, whatever we do, whether it is online pedagogy or offline pedagogy, whether it is chalk and talk method or whether it is experiential learning, whether it is collaborative learning, whether it is project-based learning, these are all different methodologies. Whatever be the methodology, it should be an integrated pedagogical paradigm where you need to have the context. When I am learning something, what is the context in which I am learning? What is the context in which I am learning? See, there is what is called as, if you take again computers, the computer languages are fast changing. Supposing, say, if I now say the latest technology, maybe Java Beans, you will say. Java Beans was not there. Because Java Beans should be taught in this context. Now, this particular software is more necessary because technology has changed. What is the context of this particular industry now? When you are talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0, what is the industry is looking forward? It is looking forward for artificial intelligence, for machine learning. So, the context of the environment is changing. So, as the context changes, the curriculum, pedagogical tool should also change. Then, there should be an experience. Experience in the sense, practicality should be there. Whether it is a theory-based paper, even if you are taught what is called as history, you are taught about, say, modern European history, even that particular paper should be in such a way that practicality should be there. The student should be able to experience the medieval history or maybe the ancient history. That experience should be there. So how the experience will come? You cannot go back. It's not like Aditya 369, old movie of Balakrishna. Getting into a time machine and going there, experiencing and coming back. Seeing this Sri Krishnadevaraya's Darbar and coming back to the present. No. Using a particular pedagogical tool, I should be able to make the students experience. Then reflection. Reflection means it'll go around only about 3 questions. I tell my students also. Every student should ask 3 questions. Enduku, Emiti, Ela. If you are asking these 3 questions, Enduku, Emiti, Ela. That's what is reflection. You are reflecting why this is to be studied, how it has to be studied, when it has to be studied, when it has to be applied. What is the knowledge I should be able to get? So, Enduku, Emiti, Ela, ఈ 3 ప్రశ్నలు every student has to pose, should reflect upon, and there should be an action. That is what is called as synthesis and then your analysis. You are putting into practice. Action means putting into practice. You have gained some knowledge. Using that particular knowledge, what you are going to do? What is the action that should come out of this particular reflection? After gaining knowledge, you are reflecting. And after reflecting, it should turn into an action. It should turn into an action. Maybe a student of B.Com, after doing, say, tally, it should reflect into an action. He should know what he has learned, how he has learned, and when he has to apply all these things he has learned, and now he has to put it into action. That is, he should be able to go and then practice with with an enterprise or with an establishment or simple shop. Put those particular accounts into tally and practice. That's what is called as action. And finally comes evaluation. But for us, we only are bothered about evaluation. Whether I will get 60% or not, whether I will get 70% or not, whether I will get 80% or not. Educational administration is looking about the pass percentages. And student is bothered about his own percentage of marks. Whether I will get 60% or 70% or 80%. I tell you, any faculty member of your class, if you go to the faculty member and ask what are the important questions that are to be studied and probability of getting those particular questions in examinations, they'll give you some 5-6 questions they'll give you. Not more than that. Not more than that. For every course, for every paper. You'll get, definitely you'll get 60 or 70%. Getting percentage is not important. What is important is your action. How you are putting that particular knowledge into practice is your action. Then only comes about evaluation. But every one of us, including me, every one of us are looking only for evaluation rather than the pedagogical process. Rather than the pedagogical process. Next. So one of the pedagogy that is going to be an innovative pedagogy is online teaching. That's a situation. That's a situation. Supposing, say, if I would have opted, I could have sat in my drawing room using my own laptop. I could be speaking right from my home to you. Even the same thing has been experienced. Maybe the outgone students or maybe the present 5 years would have experienced this online teaching. We don't know to whom we are speaking to. We don't know whom we are speaking to. We don't know whether what the student is doing. At least here I see whether you are listening or not. But I don't know what is happening. Next slide, please. I'm just speaking to computers. I'm just speaking to mobile phones. I'm just speaking to laptops. There are several challenges. There are several challenges being faced. I don't know whether the student is sleeping or whether the student is just switching on the mobile and then doing her or his work. But I will be continuing with my lecture, my online lecture. I don't know what we are doing. Same way even I too did during this particular COVID situation. If I am called for a meeting, if I am supposed to be, listen, what I do is I will switch off the desktop, I will switch off I will mute the microphone, I will mute the video and simply do my own business. Well, that's all. Even I have done that. When a faculty member does it, why not a student? So we don't know. We don't know. Even in a real classroom situation also, I tell to my students, దేవుడు మీకు ఒక మంచి గొప్ప వరం ఇచ్చారు. అదే ఒక టీచర్కి సార్, స్టూడెంట్స్కి గొప్ప వరం ఏమిటి? ఫ్యాకల్టీకి అది శాపంగా మారుతుంది. ఏమిటి? ఇక్కడ చాలా మంది స్టూడెంట్స్ కనబడుతున్నారు. ఐ థింక్ ది ఎంటైర్ రో ఇస్ ఆక్యుపైడ్ బై స్టూడెంట్స్. ఏదో నేనేమైనా ఫీల్ అవుతానేమో అనేది మీ వైస్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ గారు వచ్చి కూర్చున్నారు. ఏమిటి మీకున్న గొప్ప వరం ఏంటి? దేవుడు మీకు ఇచ్చినటువంటి, భగవంతుడు మీకు ఇచ్చినటువంటి గొప్ప వరం ఏంటి? మాకు అది శాపం. సపోజింగ్ సే ఇఫ్ ఎ స్టూడెంట్ ఈస్ స్లీపింగ్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్, ఎవరైనా నిద్రపోతున్నారు అనుకోండి, immediately I will know, because you cannot sleep without closing your eyes. చూస్తున్నప్పుడు మీరు ఎవరైనా నిద్రపడుతున్నారు అనుకోండి, కూర్చొని కుడిపాట్లు పడుతున్నారు, కళ్ళు మూసుకొని కుడిపాట్లు పడుతున్నారు, నాకు తెలుస్తుంది. నేను వెంటనే లేపుతా, వై ఆర్ యు స్లీపింగ్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్, ఎందుకు, ఏమిటి అని ఏదో ప్రశ్నించి ఏదో ఒకటి చేసి ఏదో ఒక యాక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. కానీ దేవుడు మీకు ఇచ్చినటువంటి గొప్ప వరం ఏమిటంటే, మీరు వినకపోయినా కానీ చాలా మంది మీకు ఇప్పటిదాకా నేను చెప్పింది అర్థం అవ్వకపోవచ్చు, కూడా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉండకపోవచ్చు. ఏమంటా ఇన్నోవేషన్ ఏమిటి, హైయర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్నోవేషన్ మాకేంటి సంబంధం అని మీరు అనుకోవచ్చు. మీరు వింటలేదు. మీరు వినకపోతే మీ చెవులు వెంటనే ఇలాగా ముడిచిపోయినాయి. దెన్ ఐ విల్ ఏబుల్ టు నో మీరు వింటలేదు అని. మీరందరూ చక్కగా నా వైపే చూస్తున్నారు, కానీ ఎప్పుడు వదులుతారు? లంచ్కి వెళ్ళాలి, టైం అయ్యింది, ఇంటికి పోయేటప్పటికి ఏం కూర ఉంటుంటుందో అమ్మాయి ఇవాళ నాన్ వెజిటేరియన్ ఉండదు శనివారం కాబట్టి, రేపేమి తింటారు, సాయంత్రం ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి, ఎవరితోటి వాట్సాప్ లో డిస్కషన్ పెట్టుకోవాలి, ఇవన్నీ ఆలోచించుకుంటూ ఉంటారు. చూడడానికి మాత్రం చాలా సిన్సియర్ గా వింటున్నట్టుగా నా వైపే చూస్తున్నారు. అటువైపు ఇటువైపు కూడా తల తిప్పకోకుండా డైరెక్ట్ వేరే వైపు కూడా చూడక డైరెక్ట్ గా నా వైపే చూస్తున్నారు. కానీ మీరు వింటలేదు, నాకు తెలియదు. నేను మీ అందరూ బాగా నవీన్ కూడా కూర్చొని వింటున్నాడు అనుకుంటున్నారా? లేదు, నవీన్ ఆలోచిస్తున్నాడు. మధ్యాహ్నం ఏం చేయాలి, అటెండెన్స్ ఎట్లా ఉంది, ఈ క్లాస్ కి ఎట్లా చేయాలి, అడ్జస్ట్ చేయాలి, ఫలానా లెక్చరర్ రాలేదు, వీళ్ళకేం చేయాలి అనేది ఆయన ఆలోచిస్తున్నాడు. I don't know, but చూడడానికి మాత్రం ఈజ్ వెరీ అటెంటివ్ అండ్ దెన్ హీస్ ఫోకసింగ్ హిస్ ఎంటైర్ కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ఆన్ మీ. ఆఫ్లైన్ లో ఫిజికల్ క్లాస్ రూమ్ లోనే పరిస్థితి ఇట్లా ఉంటే మరి ఆన్లైన్ లో ఎలా ఉంటుంది? ఆన్లైన్ లో ఎలా ఉంటుంది ఆలోచించండి. 90% of students will not take online classes seriously, but that is going to be the order of the day. That is going to be the order. there should be what is called as the role of the teacher using online pedagogy tool should be different. What we talked about is social presence. Social presence means the student should be able to feel the presence of the faculty. Student should feel the presence of the faculty. That the faculty member is present. Now, how to showcase the presence of the faculty? Class students faculty presence they may not feel. Students may not feel. So there are certain tools. There are certain online tools like conducting a quiz, conducting an opinion, maybe what's called as fishbound technique, making the students do some work. Discussion forums are even in learning management system, even in your Google Classroom, you have discussion forums. So such type of forums or quizzes, all these are different type of tools that are to be applied by the teacher. So that the teacher's presence is felt and the students get engaged. The students get engaged. Even in a classroom situation also it is workable. So we call it as what is called as the student engagement and the presence of the faculty member, social presence. There should be an effective association between the teacher and the thought. If at all you have any type of problem, that should be taken care by the faculty, by the teacher who is teaching that particular online course. So there should be an effective association. There should be an effect, not effect. There should be an effect. So the teacher should be able to relate himself or herself with the students and give a particular feeling that the students are getting engaged in the entire class for 45 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever it may be. But we don't usually go into that particular. Now it is a time for us to innovate. What are all the tools that are available to keep the students engaged in an online class? And what are all the tools that are there should be evaluated and should be experimented for making the faculty member be present in an online class. And best practice. Even I don't know how many of you, not the students, but the faculty members, how many of you will often visit the website of the State Council of Higher Education, which is Apex one. Immediately after COVID, we have published and then we posted it on our website about the resurgence planning, about how to have the resilience. Resurgence means we are in a pandemic, then how to come over from that particular pandemic. And when you are starting the college, you are starting the college, what are all the guidelines that are to be followed? What are the standard operating procedures? So there is a booklet on resurgence planning post-COVID-19. And maybe in a few days, you will have an online teaching toolkit. There we have discussed about how to keep the students engaged, how to use what are called as different types of Kahoot, or maybe use Quizlet, or maybe use Padlet. These are all different type of freely available tools which the students as well as faculty can work. So we are picking out the best practices and then we are trying to disseminate that particular knowledge. This is what is to be done. Next slide. Just click on that link. I want every of the faculty member to go through this particular publication of UGC. It's not my own. It's not my own. This is Evaluation Reforms in Higher Educational Institutions. It's a publication of University Grants Commission. All faculty members need to go through this particular what is called as guidelines. Or this is a publication of University Grants Commission, where they speak about the evaluation reforms that have to be, evaluation innovations that have to be brought into the education system. And similarly, maybe in months' time, maybe for the new year, we will also be coming out with a toolkit on evaluation reforms. It's not simply a guidelines, or we don't discuss much. It is a toolkit. Toolkit means you have a spanner, you have a wrench, you have a screwdriver, which will be utilized. So we are going to bring about this particular evaluation reforms, which is the assessment part is the most neglected part in what is called as entire educational system. You have what is called curriculum. Yes, we have changed the curriculum. We have introduced CBCS. We have introduced revised CBCS. We are introducing 4-year degree program. We are introducing 5-year integrated PG program. We are introducing 1-year PG program. By the time the first years go back to the universities, no university will have 2-year PG program. All university will have only 1-year PG program. And all students are going to be getting admitted into BA, BSc, become honors degree. It is left to the discretion of the student. He can quit after 3 years with a pass degree, BA. If you do the 4th year, you'll get honors degree. Lot of changes are taking place in the curriculum. Syllabus is being modified. Obsolete units, obsolete concepts are being removed. New concepts are being introduced. Something is being done with reference to the drastic changes or disruptive curriculum is going to be brought in. But what is left over is the assessment part, evaluation part is being left over. So, State Council of Higher Education is keenly looking into this particular evaluation reforms. It's not just having a continuous internal assessment, means for first mid-semester examinations, I'll give you 5 questions, you need to write 2 questions, written examination. Second mid, same. I'm not talking about K.B.N. college, I'm talking about Loyola college. What I'm doing is this. For you, there is internal assessment. For us also, there is an internal assessment. Only thing is, the difference is in the percentage of marks. For me, internal assessment is 50%, end semester will be for 50%. So what I do, I conduct mid-semester examination. First mid, 5 questions, 2 questions, 5 questions, 2 questions you have to write. Second mid, again 5 questions, 2 questions you have to write. I give the third option also to the student who missed it. First mid or second mid, re-mid examination. So what is the type of examination we are doing? Again, I give question paper, you write the questions, that's all. We don't go beyond that. Autonomous college is experimenting with different type of examination tools. You can come back. Maybe Naveen, maybe you need to read this particular publication of UGC. Because this is where we can say that how K.B.N. college is different from other colleges. What type of innovative assessment we are doing, question and answers. Even in written mode, you have almost 17 different varieties of written mode assessment tools are available. Not only written mode, there are other ways of assessing the student. So this is one of the most neglected area of the higher education system. Whether you talk about the undergraduate programs, postgraduate programs, or even MPhil or PhD also. PhD also we have to write 2 papers, pre-PhD examination. What is that? Is going to be examined. Again, question paper, you have to write the answers. But beyond that, there are several other ways of doing this particular assessment. I'm not going to list out because not many will be interested in this assessment. But still, every faculty member should be able to give this particular, a look into this particular assessment. Should be able to experiment with the different type of assessment. So maybe the college also, autonomous colleges also should give autonomy to the faculty members. But only thing is, we don't have confidence on ourselves. I'm not talking about one college. This is the situation in all colleges. Or to be very specific, okay, in Loyola college, if you ask me now, maybe if you had asked me earlier when I am with Loyola college maybe last year, what I do as an administrator, I will say Deputy Controller of Examination will not vote for giving autonomy for the faculty member to conduct the mid-semester exam. Because I don't have confidence on my own faculty. Not only on other faculty member, I don't have confidence on me. ఏమో ఎగ్జామినేషన్ కండక్ట్ చేయకోకుండా ఊరికనే మార్కులు వేసేసి ఎగ్జామినేషన్ కంట్రోలర్కి సబ్మిట్ చేస్తారేమో. ఈ క్విజ్లు ఎవరు కండక్ట్ చేస్తారు, మాక్ టెస్ట్ ఎవరు చేస్తారు, ఇది ఎవరు చేస్తారు, అది ఎవరు చేస్తారు. సింపుల్ గా 20 మార్కులకి మినిమం 15 మార్కులు, మాక్సిమం 20 మధ్యలో 15-20 మధ్యలో అందరికీ వస్తుంది. I don't know whether you have this particular assignment. 20 marks for first meet, 20 marks for second meet, 5 marks for attendance coming, sitting in the class, warming up the bench. I give 5 marks. వినండి, వినకపోండి, ఏమి చేయాలో వచ్చి బెంచ్ మీద కూర్చుంటే చాలు 5 మార్కులు వచ్చేస్తాయి. కాలేజ్ వరప్రసాద్ గారు చూస్తారు, ఇక్కడ నుంచి మా వాళ్ళందరూ 5 మార్కులు పాస్ అయ్యి వెళ్ళిపోతారు ఎవరైనా. 5 marks is for assignment. When I look, me as a teacher, I give 4 marks. ఎందుకని ఆ స్టూడెంట్ ఎదురు వచ్చారు ఏమోలే పాపం అనే దాంట్లో ప్రతి వాళ్ళకి 4. రాని వాళ్ళకు కూడా అత్యంత ఏమంటారు హ్యూమానిటేరియన్ కన్సిడరేషన్ లో అసైన్మెంట్ సబ్మిట్ చేయకపోయినా కానీ 2 మార్కులు వేస్తారు. దిస్ వాట్ ఐ డూ. లేట్ సబ్మిషన్ అంటే ఒక పర్టికులర్ డేట్ సబ్మిట్ చేయాలి, చేయలేదు, వారం తర్వాత తీసుకొచ్చేస్తారు. సార్ నాకు ఇంట్లో బాగలేదు సార్, సార్ మా ఇంట్లో మా ముత్తాత గారు చనిపోయారు సార్, అందుకనే నేను అసైన్మెంట్ కరెక్ట్ టైంకి ఇవ్వలేదు సార్, నాకు ఆ రోజు తలకాయ నొప్పిగా ఉంది సార్, లాస్ట్ 2 రోజులు నేను రాలేదు సార్ కాలేజీ. 101 reasons the student will have. So I'll give, okay, ఇంకో 2 మార్కులు వేసేసి ఇది పంపి. So I don't have confidence on me that I'll be able to rise to that particular level of conducting an assessment, a reliable assessment, But still, the administration should also think of giving some autonomy for the student, faculty member to experiment with different type of assessment tools. Only after studying this, only after interacting with high level intellectuals, then my mindset also started changing. For the past 6 years, now my mindset is changing. Okay, so you will have that particular thing. And finally, last thing is, maybe I will conclude in under 5 minutes. Next slide, please. This is again not meant for, it is also meant for students, but it is for the administration. See, what is that? After getting graduated, what is that the student is going to be contributing to the society? Something the student needs to give back to the society. We are taking from the society. You need to give something back to the society. So what is that? The student gives back to the society. Whether it is your scholarships, whether it is your free ships, whether it is your Jagannath Vidya Divana or Jagannath Vasati Divana, whatever you call, or the management scholarships. Who is giving this? Is the Honorable Chief Minister giving from his pocket? Or management is giving some scholarships? From where the management is getting the money for giving scholarships? From where the government is getting the scholarships? It is from the society. It is from the society. I am paying my income tax, and then the same income tax is going back to the what is called as to the government, and government is spending that particular what is called as the income that is generated. So what is that you are giving back to the society? So community engagement, even at this stage, you need to do something for the society, and you will be knowing or learning what are the stark realities of the society. What are the stark realities of the society? So community building program should be incorporated into the degree program. So the revised choice-based credit system, every student between his first year and second year, between the second semester and third semester, they need to go for a community development program for 2 months. It's going to be made mandatory. If you are sitting in your own house, if you are having within your comfort zone, you don't know what is happening outside. So we need to get exposed to the stark realities of the society. So even the entire state of Andhra Pradesh is going to follow this community engagement. And the government also is going to set up community development board where it's a partnership between the community and the educational institutions. So that board will take care of what type of community engagement activities that are to be done. Previously also we used to have Janmabhoomi. That's also a type of community engagement. So, like at least in Loyola College, we have two different type of community programs, and they have credits, and a minimum pass mark also has to be. It's a mandatory for getting a degree program. One is we call it as ALERT, Andhra Loyola Extension for Rural Transformation, Andhra Loyola Assistance for Neighborhood Development, ALERT and ALERT. Similarly, not only in there are several colleges which have different type of programs. One particular program of St. Joseph's Trichy, where Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam is an alumnus there in St. Joseph's Trichy, where he is studying. There is a program called Shepherd Program. And in most of these particular colleges in Tamil Nadu, they have this service learning department. So, we are going to have what is called as plan for a service learning program. It will be based on the community development strategies. So, each of these particular institutions, all higher education institutions, should innovate something about this community engagement. And those faculty members who are involved in the Naac assessment and accreditation. Third criteria, first criterion is curricular aspects. Second is teaching, learning and evaluation. Third is research, consultancy and extension. That's the importance given. Not just becoming NCC or NSS volunteers or NCC cadets. Apart from that, every student should be able to engage himself or herself with the community, where the strategies will be locality development. Locality development, it's a bottom-up approach. Kinda nunchi paiki raవాలి. Society lo locality develop cheyali. Then social planning. You are planning at the top, and the fruits of that particular planning will drop down. So top-down approach. Social action, inside out. So we need to have a strategy for this community engagement. Should be an innovative practice. And benchmarking the best practices that are there elsewhere. Finally, I conclude here. In conclusion, I would like to give a statement. Need to come out of the mindset. What is the mindset? Don't fix a problem that is not there. That should not be our mindset. We should come out of that particular mindset. Don't fix a problem that is not there. Loyola College andi NIRF ranking 36th ranking andi అంతకుముందు 54 ranking andi మొత్తం both the Telugu speaking states లో 50లలో మొదటిగా 2017 నుంచి 2020 వరకు ఉన్నటువంటిది ఒక లోయోలా కాలేజ్ అనేది NAAC లో 3.66 out of 4 అక్రిడిటేషన్ మాకు A++ గ్రేడ్ ఉందండి అంత బాగానే జరుగుతుందండి మాకు ఎందుకంటే ఇన్నోవేషన్ మాకేం ప్రాబ్లం లేదు సార్ when there is no problem why you are asking us to fix a problem we don't have any problem K.B.N college is also NAAC accredited CBE college then rules funding ఉంది అన్నీ ఉన్నాయి ఎందుకు సార్ మేము ఎందుకు సార్ ఇన్నోవేషన్ మాకు ఎందుకు సార్ బెస్ట్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ మాకేం ప్రాబ్లం లేనప్పుడు మీరు వచ్చి ఇన్నోవేట్ చేయండి అది చేయండి ఇది చేయండి అని ఎందుకు సార్ మేము చేయటము మా NAAC గ్రేడ్ బాగానే ఉంది ఈ రోజుకి అది ఉపయోగపడకపోవచ్చు your innovation may not lead to the fruitful existence of today it is for the future we don't know what the future is supposing say if Loyola College would have opened up its mind maybe 1 year back none of the college students would have faced or the faculty would have faced any problems regarding online learning under rules of funding we bought our own learning management system like Google Classroom, online teaching. We said that at least 25% of the syllabus has to be taught online, which we call it as blended learning. 75% will be taught in the classroom, 25% will be taught online. But only thing is, administration, including the RUSA coordinator, also sleeps till the last minute. RUSA coordinator is only me, so I can comment anything on RUSA coordinator. We are sleeping, simply I am sleeping. Though the money was there, but we could not put it into what is called as action. Then came COVID. Then we realized what is the importance of this learning management system. So we don't know what the future is. Unless we innovate today, that innovation will not be helpful for the future. Don't fix a problem that is not there. That mindset we need to first remove. మేము అంతా బాగానే ఉన్నాము, మేము ఒక కంఫర్ట్ జోన్ లో ఉన్నాము, మాకు ఏదైనా వస్తే కోవిడ్ పాండమిక్ వస్తారని ఫిబ్రవరిలో మనం ఏమన్నా అనుకున్నాము. మార్చ్ 22nd 23rd నుంచి లాక్డౌన్ అన్న మాట మనకి ఎవరికి తెలియదు. పాండమిక్ అన్న మాట ఇట్స్ the word which has been searched in Google for the maximum number of times. Maximum users, they search for the word pandemic. Nobody knows. So, thinking of this, ఇట్లాంటి పాండమిక్ కానీ ఫ్యూచర్ లో మళ్ళీ ఏదైనా వస్తే 10 years వస్తే K.B.N కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఏ లెవెల్లో ఉంటారు, ఏ రకంగా ఇటువంటి పాండమిక్ ని K.B.N కాలేజ్ ఎట్లా వాటిని మీట్ అవ్వగలదు, how to face that particular difficulty, how to meet that particular challenge will be only through your energy. Okay. So once again, I thank Mr. Baraprasad, Principal of K.B.N College, Dr. Naveen, Vice Principal, and the IKC Coordinator, Madam Bhavani, Bharati. And also my young friend who had introduced me at a link. And then I thank one and all for your patient listening, and also I thank students who have been sitting quietly, calmly. Maybe whether they are listening or not, they have not disturbed me, neither they have disturbed me nor disturbed the other audience. So I am thankful for each one of you who are present here. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable information regarding innovations and best practices in higher education. Now I would like to hand over the session to Dr. H. Narendra Kumar, Head of Department of English.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Francis, sir. Honored guests, dignitaries, respected teachers and dear students. Thank you, Francis, sir. Honored guests, dignitaries, respected teachers and dear students. Good afternoon and greetings to all. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to the dignitaries and participants for this valedictory session of this two-day Naac-sponsored conference on impact of best practices in quality enhancement in higher educational institutions. Honored practices in quality enhancement in higher educational institutions. Honored guests, dignitaries, respected teachers and students. Greetings to all and a very good afternoon. Let me honor the session by inviting the chief guests and dignitaries onto the dais. To begin with, I consider it a great honor to welcome the president of the session, our beloved principal, Sri E. Prasad, sir. Sir, we invite you to grace the dais. Thank you, sir. I'm profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to welcome our chief guest of the day, besides being a keynote speaker. He's none other than Sri Rangam Matthews Garu, academic officer, APSI, and senior faculty and being the head of the Department of Geology from Royal College. Sir, we invite him to the dance. Let's greet him with a great applause. It's a great pleasure to invite the convener and coordinator of IQAC, Dr. Bharati Devi ma'am, head department of MCA. Let's all welcome her with a great applause too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I request our dear principal, sir, to set over the session. Thank you.
Respected chief guest of this valedictory session, my good friend, Sri Matthew Srirangam Garu, Academic Officer, Andhra Pradesh State Council of Higher Education, Dr. Bharati Devi, Coordinator, IQAC, participants online and offline from different parts of the country, my dear colleagues, learned friends, ladies and gentlemen. With higher education becoming an international service, there is a growing concern the world over about quality standards and recognition. This national conference highlights the initiative of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Naac, to promote the concept of best practices benchmarking. It also sets the stage for a discussion of identification, sustenance, dissemination, and adaptation of best practices and of their transference from one system to the other. Benchmarking, from the perspective discussed above, becomes relevant to higher education because of the external point of reference or standards it can provide to educational managers for evaluating the quality of the processes they manage. This approach is valuable for providing information to be used in the prioritization and decision-making process of the institutions. The University Education Report had set goals for development of higher education in the country. While articulating these goals, Ramakrishnan Commission on University Education 1948-49 put it in the following words: the most important and urgent reform needed in education is to transform it, to endeavor to relate it to the life, needs and aspirations of the people, and thereby make it the powerful instrument of social, economic, and cultural transformation necessary for the realization of the national goals. For this purpose, education should be developed so as to increase productivity, achieve social and national integration, accelerate the process of modernization, and cultivate social, moral, and spiritual values. In the present context, education policies and strategies have to reckon with emerging challenges and opportunities that come from increasing globalization. The task of nation building has to take into account increasing demand for certain professional skills and knowledge that is linked to the labor market. The main challenge, therefore, is to provide the requisite opportunities through investment in schools, colleges, and universities. The access to quality education for all will create an environment whereby the fruits of development and growing opportunities are available to all sections. The further challenge is to ensure that the foreign institutions coming to India also fit in with the developmental goals of our nation. Academic reform transformation of higher education requires specific strategies for academic reforms at the institutional level. Quality improvement in higher education has been initiated through restructuring academic programs to ensure their relevance to modern market demands. The quality of higher education system may seem from the point of view of norms and standards which may evolve developing on the need of the hour, and quality management practices become crucial. The quality of these components may also differ from institution to institution. Therefore, sharing of the experiences among institutions on quality issues may generate ideas for evolving norms and strategies for their quality assurance of management process, circular inputs and practices, and the evaluation system as well. I am sure that the deliberations made in this conference are being carried out in this two-day conference on the impact of best practices and quality enhancement in higher education institutions will have added considerably to the policy makers and all the stakeholders of future to improvise and evaluate the existing standards and enhance them from time to time. In this connection, I thank all the resource persons of the two-day national conference, Professor K. Ramohan Rao Garu, Vice Chairman APSHI, and Dr. V. Subhashini, retired HOD and former IQAC coordinator, K.B.N. College, Dr. P. Anil Kumar, Academic Officer, Office of the Commissioner of Collegiate Education, Dr. M. Babu Reddy, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Krishna University, Machilipatnam, and Sri Matthew Srirangam, Academic Officer, Andhra Pradesh State Council of Higher Education, for their valuable inputs and also for accepting our invitation and for bringing out a very valuable inputs during these sessions. With these few words, I conclude my remarks and I now request Dr. Bharati Devi to present the report of the conference.
Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, participants, and my dear student friends. Now, happily, we are in the closing session of Naac sponsored two-day national conference on impact of best practices in quality enhancement in higher education institutions. I would like to thank National Assessment and Accreditation Council Bangalore for sponsoring this conference, and I also thank APSHI for giving collaboration to organize the conference in such a great manner. Professor K. Ramohan Rao, Vice Chairman, APSHI, was the keynote speaker for the first day, and he explained about various learning resources used to enhance the knowledge in the subjects to the teachers. The second session was handled by Dr. Subhashini ma'am, and she explained about Naac, why it is mandatory for every college to go for assessment, the benefits of accreditation, eligibility criteria to apply for the Naac. Today, the first session handled by Dr. P. Anil Kumar Garu, Academic Officer from CCE, he explained about the roles and functionalities of HCIs and also the importance of maintaining quality circles in each department, by each department. The immediate session was handled by Dr. M. Babu Reddy Garu, Department of Computer Science, Krishna University, was on teaching learning evaluation process. He explained about various teaching methods suitable for 21st century, like flipped classrooms, design thinking, etc. Finally, the last session was handled by Sri Matthew Srirangam, the man behind the quality enrichment, the man who continuously hunting for quality and sustenance educational standards. Moreover, he is an encyclopedia and kind-hearted to help with just one phone call. He has given a sufficient knowledge on pedagogy techniques and best practices in quality enhancement. He also explained the reforms in evaluation process. Finally, I thank all the members of the management and administrative staff, HODs, in charges of Naac, IQAC members, participants from different states, print and electronic media, and the non-teaching staff for making this conference a resound success even in the situation of pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bharati, for presenting your report on the two-day national level conference. And I now request the chief guest of today's valedictory session, Sri Matthew Srirangam, to deliver his valedictory address.
So already I spoke for more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So there is nothing much to say except for congratulating the principal, the vice principal, the IQS coordinator, and all the faculty members of K.B.N. College for conducting a useful workshop, both which is being both online as well as offline. So maybe we expect that the best practices followed by K.B.N. College will be made benchmarks, and maybe the other institutions also should emulate from the best practices of K.B.N. College. So once again, I thank the authorities for giving me the opportunity to be associated with this workshop. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your short and sweet message. Of course, you can speak volumes, but then, as you have already given a presentation, so I thought you are so brief on this particular day. Anyhow, thank you very much for your good wishes and for your greetings to us. I now request Ms. Geeta Pavani, lecturer in computer science, to propose. Oh, just a moment. Before that, we have to honor today's chief guest. So it's now time for us to felicitate the chief guest of today's valedictory session. I request Dr. K. Naveen Kumar and Mr. J. Panduranga Garu to come and join us in felicitating our chief guest.
Dr. Kranti, please come.
Now, I request Ms. Geeta Pavani, lecturer, Department of Computer Science, to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all of you. This is Geeta Pavani from the Department of Computer Science. I am here to propose a formal vote of thanks. Today, I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude from the thought of words. On behalf of Department of Computer Science and Applications, first, I would like to thank our Chief Guest Professor K. Ram Mohan Rao, Vice Chairman, APSC Chief, for taking his presence time out. We are really ardent with your knowledge and presence on this occasion. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank from the bottom of our hearts to the resource person, Dr. V. Subhashini, retired head, Department of Zoology, K.B.N. College, Vijayawada, for their gracious presence on this occasion. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to thank Dr. P. Anil Kumar Garu, Academic Officer, CCE, for their gracious presence on this occasion. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Dr. M. Babu Reddy Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Krishna University. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Sri Matthew Srirangan, Academic Officer, APSCHE, for the gracious presence on the occasion. Thank you, sir. It's time to thank the management of K.B.N. College, Secretary and Correspondent T. Srinivasrao Garu for his encouragement and esteemed support and cooperation in arranging this conference will help in the enhancement of knowledge of agriculture. I extend my gratitude to our dear Principal T. Sri V. Varaprasad Garu for motivating us. Thank you, sir. It's my privilege to thank our Vice Principal, Dr. K. Naveen Kumar Garu, for the gracious presence on this occasion. Thank you, sir. It's my privilege to thank our Director and Academic and Planning, Sri P. L. Ramesh Garu, for supporting us. Thank you, sir. It's my privilege to thank our Director of PG Courses, Sri S. Venkatesh Garu, for supporting us. Thank you, sir. I express my deep gratitude to our EVO, Sri N. Srinivas Rao Garu, who supported us continuously to conduct this event. Thank you, sir. I wish all the best to all the participants for the active participation in this event. My special thanks to Sri P. Ravindra, Head Department of Computer Science Applications, and his team for making this event on 8 through YouTube, so the people who are not here physically can see this unforgettable event through YouTube. We would like to thank press and electronic media with a request to kindly arrange coverage for today's event. Last but not the least, as no program can become successful with a single person. So, we thank all the teaching and non-teaching staff, my dear friends, for their cooperation in organizing this program. Thank you.
Let us all stand for the national anthem.
పంజాబ సింధు గుజరాత మరాఠ ద్రావిడ ఉత్కళ బంగ వింధ్య హిమాచల యమునా గంగ ఉచ్చల జలధి తరంగా తవ శుభ నామే జాగే తవ శుభాశిష మాగే జయ గాదా జనగణ మంగళదాయక జయ హే భారత భాగ్య విధాత జయ హే జయ హే జయ హే జయ 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 హే.
Thank you.